Welcome to the new sound of online radio. Welcome to the sound of Universal Broadcasting Network.
You make me feel like I've been locked out of hell.
A mix of today's hits and hard-to-find favorites, combined with the most entertaining and intriguing talk anywhere. This is your sound. This is the sound of Universal Broadcasting Network at UBNradio.com.
Hamster wheel and into balanced living with Dr. Marissa.
Promise you joy in the mystery.
Dr. Marissa, also known as the Asian Oprah. Her mission, to be a beneficial presence on the planet. Her purpose, to be your personal advocate to live, laugh, love, learn. Her life motto, don't die wondering. Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pay.
And welcome. I don't think I've ever done it that long. This is Dr. Marissa reporting live from Sunset Gower Studio, and you are tuned into my weekly talk radio TV show called Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa every Tuesday at naturally high noon here out of the Sunset Gower Studios, where Scandal and Murder, She Wrote and Newsroom are filmed, although I just heard that Shonda has moved to Raleigh, so I can't say that for very much longer, but it's wonderful here with Universal Broadcasting Network TV, and then every Saturday at 2 on my syndicated CNBC News Radio channel, KCAA, AM 1050, FM 102.3, FM 106.5, and everywhere syndicated on iHeartRadio. And this is a show about hope and happiness. So there's no gossip, no scandal, and no K words at all. No Kardashian talk at all, because I want you to focus on your own reality show and how you can be happy 88% of the time. And as per usual, if you've missed any of my fabulous shows from Dr. John Gray, to Bob Proctor, to Michael Bernard Beckwith, Neil Donald Walsh, Marianne Williamson, to Marianne from Gilligan's Island, to Corey Feldman, to Marianne Ross. She was 90 live in studio. If you missed that, that was a celebration of my 6th year on the air, May 1st. Please go to YouTube. You'll also get on my YouTube channel, which is free to subscribe, my red carpet interviews with Halle Berry, John Travolta, and Quincy Jones, and many, many more. So there's no reason that you have to stay in any kind of unhappiness when I'm splattering you with more hope and happiness with guests and topics that promote that. And today is no exception. And before I introduce him, I did want to give a peace in, peace out shout out to Arlene and John Shin, who I was fortunate to meet at Secret Knox in San Diego, Greg Reed's baby, and along with having lunch with Richard Dreyfuss, as well as getting to interview the past president of Mexico, Vicente Fox, Presidente. I got to meet this fabulous, very abundant, prosperous couple who John is the executive producer of Think and Grow Rich, the movie. And he asked me to be on his podcast as well as the book, Think and Grow Rich, Asian Voices. So I'm so pleased I got to do that. And I'm actually going to be on his stage at the Sheraton this weekend for a little talk and a book signing as well. So peace in and peace out to both of you. Fabulous work that you're doing. As well, I'm giving a peace and peace out to Sadik, who got me streamed from the United Nations over the Peace Weekend, celebrating peace all over across the planet. Over 100 million views of that event. Thank you so much, Sheshe Sadik, for having me and interviewing me for that, as well as my baby. I dropped off my baby at UC Davis's weekend. So I came home to an empty nest that I'm papering with the pages of my book. And I just love you so much, Sarah, baby. And I just know she gave me a little piece of paper that says, I love you dearly, Mom, and put a little piece of paper that I had written her first day of elementary school that said, "I love you dearly, Sarah," in her wallet. So if I say any more, I'm going to start crying. All right. And then the wonderful workshop that I got to do at Agape Bay Area. Thank you so much, TJ. It was a wonderful time there. And now I'm back here. And I get to tell you, please do tune in. To make sure you stay to the end. I'm doing Asian Oprah giveaways to the Catalina Avalon Beautiful Jazz Tracks Thursday and Sunday shows, and excellent customer service. My shout out this today goes to Joe DeMarco, who's the owner of the UPS store in Hayden, Indian Bend in Scottsdale, Arizona. He saved my butt to have enough books for the book signing this weekend. So peace in and peace out. Thank you so much. So if you're in Scottsdale, go to that UPS store. And now, without further ado, it is the last week of the month. It is Sexual Healing with Dr. Marissa. And you know, I started that probably in my second year on the air because I was tired of not talking about things that matter, like the fact that many women fake orgasms. I think the statistic was 85%, or are not happy with their bodies, and so they're embarrassed. Finding out that people have a lot of sexual healing to do, and I'm determined to make pleasure a G-rated topic. So every last week of the month, I have guests that either we talk about how to heal from sexual challenges, or how to bring more pleasure into your life. And today it's kind of like both of those things, I think, because I think the two are very related. And I am so happy to bring to you Lee Wind. He's the founding blogger and publisher of I'm Here, I'm Queer, What the Hell Do I Read? An award-winning website about books, culture, and empowerment for gay, lesbian, bi, trans, questioning, and queer youth and their allies. For over 11 years, readers from 100 plus countries have racked up 2.5 million page views and counting. Lee has Clark Kent jobs in the world of publishing, which is how I met him actually in New York at the Book Expo America, and he was instrumental and so kind. I had not released my book yet, and he was full of wonderful advice for me. We met at a bar at the what was it? It was
a mixer.
A mixer put on by IBPA, where you're the marketing and programming. And so he actually said there was no way I was going to get invited to Tattered Covers, and I just need one person telling me I can't do something, and I did. And so I got great pleasure in emailing him to tell him that I got there. But he's lovely and he's a wonderful person. I wanted to bring him on the air. His work is to empower kids and teens. He lives in LA with his husband and their teenage daughter. Queer as a $5 Bill is Lee's debut novel. Learn more at leewin.org, but you'll learn more today. Please welcome to my studio, Lee Win. Yay!
Yay! I'm really happy to be here. Thank you.
And I'm really happy to have you here. And I also forgot to do one more thing, which I think you are the perfect guest to have. It is the good news is, because of all the help all of you have been giving me, my book went #1 bestseller. Can I have yes, we now have a new sticker. So you all know I got #4 on Denver Post, #6 and 7 on Amazon, Happiness and Success, and now I hit #1. We're not going to talk about what category because it doesn't matter, but I got #1 and I'm so grateful. And that's the good news. The bad news is because of the success of the book, I am tired and I've been trying to do both things, and I really do need to focus on the book. So today is not my last, but it's when I'm telling you that this is my last month, and I will be moving into a hiatus, and hopefully next year I'll have enough time to come back. But I just wanted to let you know that I love you all, and I cannot believe I'm going to get choked up. This is my 334th consecutive week on the air. I will be going to 338, I believe, and then I'll be going dark for a little while. But please enjoy, the past shows and continue to follow all of my guests and the wonderful work that they're doing, and that I was was so blessed to be able to balance out all the bad news with the good news with my guests. So I can't think of a better person to make that announcement with. I thought maybe today was going to be my actual last day. And Lee was so kind. He's like, because I emailed him and I told him I don't, this might be it. And he's like, well, then let's talk about you. And that's just who you are. So I wanted to share that. I am so happy to be part of this journey with you, because I read your book. It was like, wow, you have gone through this whole journey yourself of sexual healing with your identity. So let's start with that. Sure. So let's go back, because I always like my guests to go back to that point of pain so that they can relate to my listening audience. I want every teenager who is either in or out of the closet, so to speak, to really to get to know Lee, to know that you've got a role model here of someone who knows the pain and knows how to get out of it.
Thanks.
Yes?
Yeah, absolutely. When you spend so much time being not yourself, being inauthentic, I mean, I knew that I was gay specifically from 11 years old. That was like, I was super attracted to another guy. And I also knew that my parents were immigrants and they kind of brought their homophobia with them. And I knew I couldn't do anything about it. Mm-hmm. And I was 11. It was like a Disney movie. It wasn't like I wanted to have sex with him. I wanted to just be like, tongue out kind of thing.
Attracted.
Yeah. I mean, like, and knowing that I couldn't be authentic about how I felt, the closet sort of was already built by society and by my family, and that was very challenging. And I did not actually come out until I was in my 20s. So I spent all these years in high school and college and grad school dating girls and sort of judging it the right thing to do. Like that's what everybody wanted me to do, but not feeling it. And I kept hoping these feelings would come.
Right.
And they didn't. And I finally got honest with myself and with the world, and then with my parents. That was the hardest.
Oh, wow.
At 25. And so I look back at those 14 years where I was actively hiding who I was and sort of acting for everyone.
Right.
And
how did they take it?
It's been a journey.
Yeah.
It was not good at first, and then it got much, much better. And now it's really been great. I mean,
yeah.
Really
so do you have any advice for any teens or young adults that are here listening to you, or is there a better or worse way to kind of come out?
I think you want to make sure that you feel safe, and that I think that it's really, the message is almost more for parents. Like, do everything you can so your child does feel safe and can be authentic.
Yeah.
Because if a child does come out to you, what an amazing compliment that is, that they feel that level of unconditional love from you.
Yeah.
And every situation is different, and it's not for me to tell everybody, be authentic now.
Right.
But I hope that people can feel safe enough that they can be authentic, because really, if you're not authentic, you're just sort of wasting your own time and you're this amazing opportunity of life.
Right.
And that was really the key for me, is like, once I came out, the burden wasn't on me anymore. It was like, when I was hiding, it was all about me, and it was all about the energy was all interior, and it was like, I'm hiding who I am.
Right.
And as soon as I came out, it was like, oh my gosh, this isn't my problem anymore.
Yeah.
Suddenly it's everybody else's problem.
Right.
If they don't like me being gay.
I like that.
Not
that
my
is
issue.
Right. You're owning you, right?
Absolutely.
You are the boss of you.
And now it's so different. I mean, now it's hard to not know that there are gay people in the world. I mean, I grew up and I thought I was the only person that felt the way I felt.
We were in Idaho.
No, actually, outside Philadelphia. But,
okay. Felt like
suburb, Idaho. But it felt so like we didn't know any gay people. There were no gay people in media. Nobody was out and happy. There were no books, and I read voraciously. Right. And there was really there was like an evil pedophile villain occasionally, like in Dune, which is a book I loved, but like that, what Baron Harkonnen was not helping me come out. It was very, very challenging.
Yeah.
So that actually kind of is how this book came about
Right.
because you talked in your book about how sometimes pain can lead to a gift.
Yes.
And I thought that was so profound because
Thank
the
you.
pain of my not being able to be authentic has really led to my mission, which is that I want to empower teens to be authentic now.
Which is why you're on the show.
Which is thanks. And that's the reason I wrote the book was because I feel like it can help. It can give hope.
Yes.
And it's directly because of my experience that I have that perspective. In 2010, I think it was, I went to a talk and this guy spoke about these letters that Abraham Lincoln had written Joshua Fry Speed that led him to believe that Abraham and Joshua were in love. And I was like, that cannot be true.
Right.
I would have heard of this.
Right.
I'm an adult. I've been out for a while.
Right.
But I couldn't get it out of my mind. And so I went to the library and I took out all these primary source materials, like books with the copies of the primary source letters. And I started to read them. And there was this one letter. Abraham and Joshua had lived together for 4 years. And they...
and for those of you who just tuned in, that's Abraham Lincoln we're talking
Yes.
about. So past president. And if you're just tuning in and wondering why we're talking about Abraham Lincoln, you are tuned in to Take My Advice. I'm Not Using It, Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa. And my very special guest today is Lee Wind. And he just came out with a book called Queer as a $5 Bill. And you know it's sexual healing today. And we're talking about his journey and being authentic and embracing his sexual orientation. So that's what we're talking about. Please continue. I had to do a station ID.
Oh, no worries. It's fun. It's being on the radio. It's
Yes,
live.
yeah. And TV. We got cameras.
And TV.
Yes.
It's talk radio TV.
TV, correct.
I love that. So there was this one letter where Abraham writes Joshua. They'd lived together for 4 years. They shared a bed, and
How did you know they shared a bed?
well, actually, historians agree that they shared a bed. That's not in dispute. We tend to go all CSI history with this kind of stuff, and people are like, "Can you prove that they had sex?" And it's
Right.
like that's actually not even the
The
most
point.
interesting question.
Right, right.
The much more interesting question is, did Abraham love Joshua? Did they love each other? Because then you start to see this sort of outsider status. Maybe it influences how Abraham Lincoln looked at slavery. On the whole outsider thing, it explains a lot about his depressions, his relationship with Mary. I mean, it's the answer to a lot of questions. But first we had to look at, like, I had to look at what were the primary source documents and what were they saying. So this letter, they'd lived together for 4 years. Joshua moves back to Kentucky and marries a woman named Fanny. And 8 months later, Abraham writes him a letter and says, "Are you now in feeling as well as judgment glad that you're married as you are? From anybody but me, this would be an impudent question not to be tolerated, but I know you'll tolerate it from me." And then he ends the letter saying, "Tell me quickly, I'm impatient to know." Now, we don't have the response, but we do know it was only a few weeks later that Abraham married Mary Todd. So I read that letter and I'm like, wait a minute, that's exactly how I felt. When I was dating girls, I felt like I judged it the right thing to do, but I didn't feel it. And I kept wondering, would the feelings come? And it was this goosebump moment all up my arms and my back. I was like, oh my gosh, I think Abraham and Lincoln and Joshua Fry Speed were in love.
Right.
And then I started going into it in all these letters, and it just blew my mind.
Right.
And I just kept thinking, oh my gosh, if someone had told me back when I was 15 years old that Abraham Lincoln, right, like Mount Rushmore Abraham Lincoln, Lincoln Memorial Abraham Lincoln, on the penny, on the $5 bill, was even maybe in love with another guy, it would have changed my whole life.
Right,
Because I would have been like, wait, there is a guy that's in love with another guy, and that's how I feel.
It's okay.
I don't have a time machine, though. They haven't invented that yet.
Yeah.
So I thought, all right, I'm a writer. I'm going to pay it forward. So that's basically why I wrote Queer as a $5 Bill.
Got it.
The plot is basically about a kid who's 15 years old. His name is Wyatt. He lives in a very small town called Lincolnville, Oregon. It's very rural and also very homophobic.
Yeah.
And he's closeted. Nobody knows the truth about he likes guys. And he inadvertently is suddenly dating his best friend Mackenzie because the bullies are about to beat him up, and she decides she's going to rescue him like a lifeguard, and she jumps in and she kisses him. And he knows they're watching, so he responds, and she misinterprets his response as interest. And she's always had a little bit of a crush on him. So suddenly he's dating his best friend. It's super awkward. He's in that exact situation I was. He judges it the safe, right thing to do. It'll protect him from the bullies, but he doesn't feel it. And then I have him assigned a book report on Abraham Lincoln, and he sees the same letter I did. And I gave him the same goosebump moment I had. And he has this idea that, like, everybody loves Lincoln. Everybody in our country is obsessed with Abraham Lincoln. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And
unlike some presidents.
Yeah, President 16, nobody seems to have a problem with.
Yeah. Sorry.
Right.
I
Unlike
digress.
45, President 16 is very well loved. And it could change the world.
Yeah.
I mean, because the main character, Wyatt, it decides, all right, if I tell the world that Abraham Lincoln was in love with another guy, it'll change how what everybody thinks about gay people. And cue the songbirds and the happy ending.
Right.
And of course,
Doesn't it? Yeah.
That's not what I think would happen.
No, Dorothy.
I think it would be a gigantic media firestorm.
Yeah.
And that's what I wrote. And the idea was, well, how do I make it relevant? Like, how is Abraham Lincoln important to a teenager today?
Yeah.
So I kind of stacked the deck against my main character, which is what we writers do, right?
Right.
Like, his parents own the Lincoln Slept Here bed and breakfast. They live in Lincolnville, Oregon. He goes to Lincoln High School. And it's
that's so
crazy.
funny.
When you go out in the world, there's so many things named after Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah.
And when you know the secret from history, that's actually the tagline it's on the bookmarks and it's on the front cover of the book. Like, what if you knew a secret from history that could change the world? And if you know that Abraham Lincoln was maybe in love with another guy, it changes how you see everything. It changes how you see a $5 bill.
Yeah.
And that's really liberating and exciting. And again, look,
for many of us, not all of us.
Exactly,
Let's
just like in the book.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I know people have already switched this off.
And that's okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
I feel like there's this beautiful quote from Anne Lamott in her book Bird by Bird, and she talks about lighthouses. And she says, lighthouses, they don't run all over an island looking for boats to save.
Yeah.
They just stand there and they shine.
Yeah.
And I feel that way about what I talk about history. Like, okay, so a lot of people are not going to be thrilled with my interpretation of Abraham Lincoln and Joshua Fry Speed's relationship. And that's okay.
And it's okay.
I don't need to convince anybody.
That's right.
I just need to be like, wow, I discovered this and it blew my mind and I want to share this.
Yeah.
Because, and then, and if you are interested, great, come close. I'll tell you more, read the book. If you're not interested, that's cool.
Yeah.
Go off.
Yeah.
There's lots of open seas to explore.
Yeah.
There are lots more lighthouses.
But what I want to give you credit on, and which is that, as you mentioned earlier, there aren't things to read for young people that make their particular diversity okay. And one of the great panels that I went to in New York was a panel with books that had main characters that were African American, and I was kind of like, well, why do we need this? We need this because there aren't role models, young women as main characters, people of color as main characers. I love the fact that Crazy Rich Asians, is all about the Asians.
I love
and
that movie
right,
so much.
Right, and the whole, and I love the black KK Klansman. I thought that was brilliantly done to just isolate the fact that we really don't have, we continue to be diversity devaluing and afraid and ashamed or suspicious because we don't have it in mainstream to even learn from or to grow from or to say it's okay. Your difference is valuable. There's nothing wrong with you.
Right. And that's how we make a safe world, right? Like when we stand up for each other and we listen, we make space. And especially, I'm gay, so I have a little bit of disempowered diversity, I guess, stature. But I'm a white guy. And so I have a lot of privilege that comes with that. So I feel like, especially lately, I feel like a lot of what I'm doing is being quiet and taking my microphone and passing it to women and to people of color and to other LGBTQ people, because we get a lot of bandwidth, white men, and it's like enough. It's okay. Like, yeah, we don't have to take us away from the table, but let's build a bigger table.
Yeah.
Let's bring more chairs to the table. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
crazy making.
But
right
I
now.
don't want you to not be part of the table. So let me
Oh,
just
no,
qualify
I'm
that.
holding my spot at the table,
But I think it's
I'm building more spots. We're adding more chairs.
Yeah, and I love what the goal there is. And at the same time, I think we need white men to actually speak more, not about themselves, but the support side. Because white
amplify.
men do really good in saying, look at how great this other white man is. But they don't do as well as, oh, this white man is getting punished, and then they're quiet. So I want them to say, this white man is getting punished because he should be punished. And we need to now, really give more places at the table for those. And look at how great this Asian woman is.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think the going quiet, I just wanted to distinguish between going quiet because you're not going to support, or going quiet because you want to give somebody more space.
Yeah, I think it's like going quiet in a loud way.
Yes, and that I agree with, but you can't be loudly. So, but I do want to take a minute to, and I usually do this at the end, but I want to do it right now, is give you the Dr. Marissa Beneficial Presence on the Planet Award for taking your pain and what you went through and recognizing that we need more YA, young adult books to encourage and to provide hope for those who still are, and we live in California, so I don't think there's many closets still there, but I know
you'd be
there's
surprised.
really,
Yeah,
really,
I hear
okay,
from kids all the time.
Okay, so but definitely in the other states, there isn't as much. So there you go. You get that award. Not all my guests get it, so there.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm honored.
Good.
I will put it up on my metaphorical shelf.
There you go. There you go. So, let's go back to parents for a second.
Yeah.
And let's put the moose on the table here, because I'm glad you said this is more for parents too. So, moose on the table, by the way, is my Canadian version of elephant in the room.
That was incredibly Canadian. Well done. I feel like I should be like pouring maple syrup over something as we speak.
If you're a parent and you really, because of your religion or because of what you've been taught or your fundamental BS belief systems, believe that it is wrong. And there's a movie coming out about that. I saw the trailers. And you send your kids to camp to get changed, right? And you said earlier, this is more of a message for parents. Do you have something for parents who are stopping their children from being authentic?
Yeah, I mean, just imagine if you think, this goes to that expression lifestyle choice. This is thrown around a lot,
Right.
like at queer people, like, oh, it's your lifestyle choice. Having long hair is a lifestyle choice.
Yes.
Being your authentic self, that's not so much a choice,
Yeah.
right? Like, if you want someone to hide who they are, people can hide who they are, but they're not going to be happy, and they're not going to live full, authentic, 100% lives.
Yeah.
And they're not even going to live 88%
Yeah,
lives.
yeah.
It's really, really hard. I've done
Yeah.
it for a long time.
Yeah.
So if you want your child to
be happy.
If you want them to be happy, then you want to encourage them to be authentic.
Yeah.
And all these sort of parallels that people use are really spurious. It's if you think it's a choice, then could you choose for a day to be a lesbian? If you could convince yourself, if you could talk yourself into being a different sexual orientation than you authentically feel, then maybe you're bi. But honestly, you can't change it. It is an immutable element of your being.
Yeah.
You can be authentic about it or you can lie about it.
Right.
Those are your choices in
Two
life.
choices.
So if you want to have a relationship with your child once they're an adult, you have a choice. And you want to help them become an adult. I mean, the rates of suicide are horrifying, especially for children that aren't supported. So think about what really matters to you.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
you know,
Do you, the best thing I heard one time was in one of those little video clips, and it says, do you choose to be straight?
right. When was the moment you chose that you were not,
Yeah.
you were not
And
going to
it-
be
and
gay, you
that-
were going to be
yeah,
straight?
Yeah. And it's like, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Right?
Didn't make
to
the
me,
choice.
that
Yeah.
didn't make the choice. So then why would your son or daughter who is gay have to make that choice?
Right. It's not like when you come out as gay, you get like a prize pack, right? We're really excited. Congratulations. Welcome to the
Yeah.
community.
Yeah.
It's really
Yeah.
a challenging thing.
Yeah.
And Andrew Solomon talks about this in his really great book called Far from the Tree, where, you know, usually apples, they fall right below the tree.
Yeah.
Sometimes the apple falls far from the tree. And
Yeah.
when you are a child who's gay or queer in some way and your parents are not,
Yeah.
you've fallen far from the tree.
Yes.
And you have to sort of figure out your identity and find your community elsewhere. And I thought that was a beautiful metaphor.
is a beautiful metaphor.
Because it's true of so many things. And Andrew, in his book, explores a lot of different ways of people falling far from the tree.
Oh, good.
But for
Good.
the amazing thing about when we talk about like history and authenticity is that like we teach kids that history is the story of rich, white, straight, cisgendered men. And that's all that's important. But what about the stories of women? And what about the stories of people of color? And what about the
Right.
stories of disabled people? And what about LGBTQ stories? I mean, there
Yes.
are men who love men and women who love women and
Yeah.
people who lived outside gender boundaries in
Yeah.
history. So, like, I kind of take this idea of like Abraham Lincoln and Joshua Fry Speed as like a crack in this facade, this sort of BS belief system
Right.
that everybody is straight and rich and white and male in history, and being like, hey, you know what, that's not true.
Right.
And then suddenly all this light comes shining through of all these other stories. And my daughter is in high school, and her textbook was probably the same textbook I had when I was in 10th grade history class. And I challenged the teacher at back to school night. I'm like, she was like, does anyone have any questions? And I'm like, yeah. How are you going to
Right.
actually teach beyond this textbook? Because this textbook is exactly that. It's just, it's this very European-centric view of white male privilege.
Right, right.
And she paused for a moment, and then she had an answer, which I was really happy with, because that's not the answer I got.
Right.
So yeah, so it's like, yeah, let's expand our view of history, and because once we understand that history is bigger and it includes our stories,
Right.
I think we feel like we can own a place at the table today.
Yes.
And when we own a place at the table today, we can envision what our tomorrow is going to be. We can envision a future.
Beautifully
And
said.
that's a gift I want to give to everybody.
Yes, yes, and the belongingness that you deserve, and that you are, and the worthiness that you are. There's no throwbacks. You know, you're not an accident. There's nothing wrong with you, and every pain is to alchemize you into the most beautiful part of you. So even if you are someone who is going through pain right now in your identity, it's okay. You're not broken. It's just the chiseling time, right?
I like that.
Yeah. So that's beautiful. How do people get the book?
Oh, anywhere books are sold. On a week from today, actually. It comes out on Tuesday, October 2nd.
Woo woo.
And I haven't announced it yet, but I'll announce it here that we're actually
Yes.
doing an audiobook as well. So
Nice.
it's been very exciting.
Have you been recording?
No,
it?
no. I just recorded the author's note part.
Oh, okay.
And then there's an interview at the end. Leslie Newman interviews me at the very end of it, which is cool because years and years ago, I think it was 1989, she came out with a book called Heather Has Two Mommies, which was the very first children's book with two moms, with a
Right,
lesbian couple,
right.
and their daughter. And that was a huge groundbreaking moment in
Wow.
children's literature.
Wow. Yeah.
So it was a huge honor that I got to do that.
Wonderful.
Yeah, it's been very, very exciting. And you were talking about like, are there closets in California?
Yes.
And I teamed up with a nonprofit called Camp Brave Trails, and they're amazing, and they do summer sessions and some things throughout the year, and it's a leadership camp for LGBTQ teens. And it was really cool because in crowdfunding this book, that's how we got it to publish it. We
right.
crowdfunded
Oh,
it.
that's another story. We'll come back after break to talk about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I got to meet a lot of these teenagers this summer. And
Yes.
there was one, she came up to me and she was like, this story gave me hope. This moment when he comes out to his parents.
Isn't that the best part of writing a book?
Yeah, it was so amazing.
It's so amazing. That's beautiful. And we're getting the signal. We're going to just break off for 2 and 2 to thank the sponsors that make this show possible. So we'll be back in 2 and 2. Peace in and peace out. Do you know any honest mechanics? Well, I do. Dr. Marissa here, and if you have a car you love, then take it to JP's European Auto in Huntington Beach. Experienced, knowledgeable, and professional, JP's European Auto has been the #1 choice for European auto repair since 2009. Mention Dr. Marissa and JP will give you a 10% off, so go to jpseuro.com, your dealer alternative to all European automobiles today. Okay, jazz lovers, it's time to celebrate with the Catalina Island Weekend Getaway with jazz greats like Richard Elliott, Keiko Matsui, Dan Siegel, Peter White, and Baja. Don't miss the 32nd Jazz Tracks Festival at the beautiful Avalon Casino on Catalina Island, 2 weekends in October, 11th through 14th and 18th to 21st. Tickets are selling out fast, so go to jazztracks.com. That's jazztracks with an X.com today. You are all tuned in to my weekly talk radio TV show called Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa every Tuesday at naturally high noon out of the Sunset Gower studio in Hollywood, California with UBN, Universal Broadcasting Network, Radio, TV, and then Saturdays at 2 on my syndicated CNBC NBC News Radio channel, KCAA, AM 1050, FM 102.3, FM 106.5, and everywhere on iHeartRadio. And that will be for 1 more month. So I am, again, using today's fabulous show with Lee to make that announcement, and know that I will miss you. But just going to go on a hiatus for the book because I know you would want me to. Anyways, we have here today for Sexual Healing with Dr. Marissa, a wonderful debut author coming out October the 2nd. You will want to get his book, Queer as a $5 Bill. We've been talking about it. You can re-listen to this show on my KCAA channel or on my YouTube after that. We've been talking about how it is so important for teens today who are in a sexual orientation that is not falling straight from the tree to feel as important, worthy, lovable, loving, and loved as they are. And so Lee Wind has taken his own past, coming out authentically, and the difficulty with that. His mission now is to help other teens who are going through that, and the book is for that end. And to find out that maybe Abraham Lincoln was gay. And there's a lot of... now, you actually wrote it as a nonfiction and had a publisher, top 5 publisher, we weren't going to say who, that said they would, and then got cold feet.
Yeah, it was. So when I was writing the book, there was just so much evidence that started to come up, and I was like, oh my gosh, there's that, and there's that too. And it got to a point where I just couldn't shove all this nonfiction stuff into the book. And I thought, well, maybe there's a nonfiction book too, but even I think the idea of a nonfiction book that's just about Abraham Lincoln and Joshua Fry Speed is a bit boring. So I wanted to figure out, like, all right, well, what angle could I take? And I thought, well, maybe it's that very thing, that facade, the cracking the facade. And maybe it's a book that has many stories of men who love men and women who love women and people who lived outside gender boundaries. So it's called The Queer History Project, No Way They Were Gay. And it is about... there's 15 chapters, and the letters from Lincoln to Speed are one of the chapters.
Got it.
And that book did sell to a top 5 publisher, one of the big 5s. It was very exciting. I worked for a year and a half with them on it. It was all set to go. We were talking cover design, and then 45 was elected. And and then 2 weeks later, we got the call that they absolutely were not going to be able to publish it. So we got the rights back, and it's off, and we'll see if it can find a good publishing home.
Hey, there is the end of a term called the end of a presidential term, right? So there's hope.
Yeah,
there's hope.
It was a really crushing moment, but
I bet.
it led directly to my crowdfunding this book. because I felt like, wow, traditional publishing is not stepping up. And so, in fact, they're doing more than not stepping up. They're running.
Yeah.
So
Pressing down.
So I thought, okay,
falling down.
I have a blog. I've been blogging for the past 11 years. And I thought, all right, I have a community. I think I can do this. So I did a crowdfunding thing in January of this past year. And the idea was, I didn't want it to be like about Lee, like help Lee publish Lee's book. That felt weird. And I thought, all right, well, what if I did it where it was, yes, help me publish my book in a very professional way. Yeah. And let's donate 400 copies to LGBTQ teens. And that was the goal. I teamed up with this Camp Brave Trails because I don't know 400 teens. And we funded in 6 days. And then it went on for another 24 days. So we ended up raising enough money to give away 810 copies.
Yay! Of course, 8. That's my level.
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah. The 88%
that's
happy.
Right.
I love that.
That's right.
So I was 88% thrilled. And no, I was actually 100% thrilled.
108% thrilled. Thank you very much. That's so awesome.
Yeah, it was really exciting.
Yeah.
And it was like a barn race. I had a friend who was like, well, it's not that much money, Lee. Like, why don't you just ask a few, wealthy friends? And I was like, first of all, you have different friends than I do. But
yeah,
also,
I want to know, is he single?
I think he's gay. I don't think it's going to help. But what was so funny is that I felt like that was missing the point.
Yeah.
What I wanted it to be was a barn raising. I wanted the community to come together. Yeah. And I had 182 people who donated to the project to make it beautiful. A reality. Mm-hmm. And that for me was really exciting because it was everybody saying, yes, this deserves to be heard. Yeah. And then, I just got a little bit of good news yesterday was that my book is now a quarterfinalist in the Book Life Prize. So it was selected as one of only 12 YA books for the prize. Thank you. I'm getting a high five in the studio. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, so it's really exciting because every time it gets a little more attention, being on this show, it just makes me feel like, it's going to reach more readers and it's going to make a difference in the world.
And that's a shift that I want us to acknowledge right now. It's changed even publishing in the sense that, one of the best things that I love about my book is the response that people are actually getting happier and it's making a difference. And so wouldn't it be amazing? I'm not knocking fiction writers. I'm not knocking, James Patterson or, anybody like that, even though I did get a very somber picture with him at the BEA, but we're not going there. Wouldn't it be awesome if the cracking open of the publishing world and the ability for everyone to write, that they write with the sole purpose of the book doing more than just something to read. Like what you did with the crowdfunding was it's a movement. It's not just a book.
Right.
It's
not a book. It's not just a book. The book is a tool to empower.
Correct. So
and
this
your
is
book is a tool to empower too.
Exactly. And so wouldn't it be great if we just said, look, everybody, because I've heard that, everybody could write a book. And it's like, well, I don't know if everybody could write a book, but everybody should try to write something that is empowering based on their, crap that's happened to them. Because really the crap is fertilizer, right? So wouldn't it be great that if everybody at least started a blog and stopped writing on their social media stuff about nothing?
Or use their social media to say good things. To transmute that pain into something useful.
Exactly. Instead of, bullying people or, saying something about the K word and what they're doing and which is meaningless, in the whole scheme of things. Like what really matters? What really matters to you? Well, I had a really bad week, but these are some things that got me out of that bad week. Like reading 8 Ways to Happiness or Queer as a $5 Bill. So, I mean, it's just really shifting who and what is important in life.
That brings me to the dedication of your book, which I thought was so beautiful. You say it's to sort of three different people. And then will you read the dedication to us?
I did not put him up to this, I swear. to my beloved dad, who's on the other side. You want to make me cry, right? Still being the one that I always knew I could fall back into, and the best human example of unconditional love that I've experienced in this lifetime. And then to my 9th grade English teacher, who said I was a horrible writer. Thanks for giving me a way out of writer's block. Finally, to all of you out there who think that you're not good enough, because you already are.
Aw, I get goosebumps with that last bit and how you turned it and made it about the reader themselves. And it's so funny because I did something very similar. So my dedication.
Read it, please.
For my husband, Mark, whose love gives me wings. For our daughter, who fills our days with joy and gratitude. And for you, reader, this book is for us all. We did the same.
Another high five.
We did the same thing.
And we didn't know that. He did not.
No.
We were already.
But that idea of a book being something much more than a book, a book being a path,
Yes.
and a way to
tool.
be empowered, a tool,
Yeah.
a movement.
A movement.
Is really beautiful
Yeah.
and so exciting
It
because
is.
it's not just paper. It's more.
Yes, it is. It is. And that's a perfect way to wrap up this show. Unbelievably, I told you it would go fast.
It went so fast.
It did. My last question to all my guests is, what or who are you most grateful for?
So we end every day in our house by sharing a grateful thought. And
So do I. But anyways, we actually start ours. But okay. Copying me again.
And we try to always have it be something different, right? Like every day. So it's not just a rote thing.
Friends and family.
But I am the path to having this book come out has been so roller coaster and crazy. And I am truly grateful that it is going to finally reach readers. And because there's this expression that a work of art isn't complete until it's witnessed. And similarly, a book isn't complete until
it
it's
is
read.
Beautiful.
And I'm
beautiful.
so excited for that to happen.
That is so awesome.
So
and I'm
thank you for
so,
helping me
and
share.
shit to you too. It's what an honor. Yay to Lee Wind. Go to leewind.org, I believe, can you purchase the book there? Or
You can,
yeah. Or Amazon,
Yeah.
everywhere, right? Let's make him a bestseller too. How's that? That's my wish for him. And so we'll give him an applause out. A big one. Winner of Dr. Marissa's Beneficial Presence on the Planet Award. That's Lee Wind. And pick up his book, Queer as a $5 Bill. And you'll get to know parts of Abraham Lincoln you never knew. So, and it is time for me to welcome you to my balance bar. At the end of every show, we'll start with the Asian Oprah giveaway. You heard the jazz commercial. Art Good, once again, very generously sponsoring and giving away tickets. So Thursday is my twin. She's been on my show twice. Keiko Matsui, another person that I instantly connected with, and she's my Japanese twin, an amazing #1 Billboard keyboardist. So you'll have to come hear her and those tickets, along with Sunday, Richard Elliott, guitarist Tim Bowman, and Yummy saxophonist Jeff Ryan. October 16th and 21st, hundreds of dollars. So just go to my, let's go to my Facebook, give Dr. Marissa a finger, a thumbs up. I almost put up the finger, and message me and say you've done that, and you can have as many passes as you would like. So you can bring your friends. Another book signing. I got invited back to the Agape International Spiritual Center, where I am on faculty, and my big brother, Michael Bernard Beckwith, wrote the foreword. So I'll be doing a book signing, not this Sunday, though. It will be the following Sunday on October 6th. Because of the hurricane, I don't have enough books yet. And then on Saturday, I'll be doing it at Sheraton, but that's a private event. And then thank you to Purple Planet Music for always giving me royalty-free music for my commercials. Join me Saturday at the beach. It is Balanced Tai Chi Gong, moving meditation that promotes inner peace, one breath at a time. Rosie's Dog Beach in Long Beach at 8:30. Anything else here? I believe that's it. Next week, you will be subject to another rags to riches true story. His name is Riyad Hamdi, and he came here with $1 in his genes, and he has made himself quite abundant and prosperous, and he's going to come and tell us how he did that. And if you are in a place of not prosperity yet, you might want to listen. He's a great inspirer and motivator and has some practical tools for that. So that will be part of my last month series on Take My Advice. I'm Not Using It. Get Balance with Dr. Marissa Pay. That's P for positive EI. And remember, it's all about balance. Peace in and peace out. That's world peace through inner peace.
Take away the part of me that wants to stay.